Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Natural Childbirth 101. I'm Kaleem Joy, and I'm a licensed midwife here in the California, Sacramento area. I'm a certified pediatric massage therapist and certified professional midwife. It is a joy and a delight to do these lives each Wednesday night, and as we're waiting for everyone to come on, I just want to say this is going to be a wonderful night of learning and insight, and I hope it really brings you something to take a breath about, because this time of year can be both joyful, exciting, and also stressful. So we're going to talk about those tonight. I've had several of the followers ask me, you know, sometimes I can't always be able to be there, or I need to tend to something, or I had one that said my internet doesn't work real well. Are they saved? And for those of you that are on Instagram, we know that they're only on here for 24 hours. But on my Facebook page, the Natural Childbirth 101 Facebook page, every one of these lives, you can go back and watch them. They are saved on there. You can share them. You can show them to other people. Please give them to other people. And I do my best to upload them to YouTube each week, so you can go to there as well. Now, my YouTube channel, the word childbirth had to be separated into two words. So you want to make sure you put in Natural Child Birth 101, and then you can usually find my channel that's there. And again, show them, share them, you know, help people to have them. So I just want you to know that you can find them again. They won't get lost. Secondly, I've had a lot of people ask me about the wall behind me. And for those of you that have been watching for a while, some of you know, but as a midwife, my wonderful midwifery partner Marlene started this back when we were quite a while ago. And I don't know if I can actually, I think I can. Let me show you. If you look, we have a lot of these all along the wall. And there's several more over here. Okay, so we started this back when we started midwifery 21 years ago. And when we did that, we wanted to make a representation of all the babies that we had the opportunity to walk with their families in them, bringing them to Earthside. So this was one of the ideas that Marlene had come up with, which was to give every baby a bead. And so although I can't really take the cameras to there just because of the way everything is set up, but each baby's name is up there that we have attended, and their birth date, and a bead. And the bead is either a blue one for a water birth, a green for a land birth, meaning wherever they were born in the house but not in water, or it might have a purple bead. And the purple bead are for those that we say have a purple heart, meaning that they planned on having their babies at home, but for whatever reason, and usually it was lack of progress, we needed to accompany them into the hospital so that we could have maybe some drugs during labor to get the baby there. Sometimes maybe there was no other option but to have the baby born through cesarean and surgery. And when we look at those, people are able to find out what our statistics are. Each baby has their own bead, and Marlene goes and she picks out something that reminds her of the family, the birth, the nursery, something that we can go back and say, oh, that we remember that family and we remember that birth. And when it came to transfers, we can also tell prospective clients, you know, what did we transfer in for? Was it lack of progress? Was it, you know, a placenta that got retained? What was it that we went in for, and how often? And in our statistics, most of these behind me, with very few exceptions, some years have none, some years have one, maybe two at most, and for the most part, up until the last few years as our practice has been softening, we did about 58 babies a year. So roughly in 100 babies, we would transfer in maybe 2. And so 98% of the families would have their babies at home with no interventions, no complications, at least nothing that we couldn't already handle at home. So that's what the bead wall is behind us. It's just our way of remembering our families. All right, now on to tonight's topic. Tonight's topic is about building the immune system. Now, at this time of year, especially as kids start going back to school, or maybe you have young children that have just started preschool, you realize that within the first few weeks, what happens? They all come down with a cold, or many people do. There are a lot of people getting colds and flus and various things during this time of the year. Some of it is the change of our seasons. Some of it is the change of weather from hot to cold and going in and out. And some of it is now we have the holidays. And so I want to say, have a wonderful, happy holiday, but also realize that holidays bring their own set of stresses. And during the holiday season, these are some of the things that I wanted to give to you as my gifts to help you maybe work through this holiday season as you have about from tonight, 1 week before Christmas time, if you happen to be one that celebrates Christmas. You might celebrate Hanukkah, and Hanukkah, I don't remember exactly when it is. And then some of you might celebrate other holidays, and some of you may never celebrate holidays at all. But it is this time of the year. So let's look at this time of the year and say, during the holiday time, we are looking at buying gifts, wrapping gifts, getting from here to there. Now, with buying things on the internet, we have shopping online versus always having to go to the malls. We have planning parties, going to parties, making food, buying food, figuring out how you're going to go to all the different people's houses. And then in the midst of that, we have children who are in school who are also feeling some of these stresses going on and having to figure out how to work with their immune systems during this time of the year. So as we go along tonight, I'm going to talk about sort of some of these physical things that are going on in our lives, how some of the chemical parts get affected by it, and a little bit about our spiritual. But I will be going over sort of lifestyle as well as what are the main immune supports, such as elderberry, vitamin C, these types of things that you can use with yourself and with your children to help boost that immune system's ability to handle the stresses that go on during this time of the year. All right, so we've been planning all these things, planning the gifts, trying to get everything done, and sometimes feeling, especially as mothers, as homekeepers, that we're trying to keep up with the children, the responsibilities, and getting everything done. And usually what sacrifices on that is we get hungry, we get tired, and we get overwhelmed. When that occurs, our neural system starts to talk to the rest of our body and says, hey, you're feeling stressed. All right, let's boost our stress hormones in order to help you handle everything that you're trying to do right now. And over time, if we ask them to do too much, what happens is those stress hormones, those cortisol levels, engage that immune system that's trying to keep up with the day-to-day gobbling up those things in them. And for those of you that may or may not understand your immune system, in a real simplicity, if you imagine you have white blood cells, all right? And if you imagine, if any of you have played Pac-Man, now that may be dating me, but it's a game that had lots of little dots, and the little yellow thing would come and eat up the dots and go up and down and etc. In other words, you have white blood cells, and these white blood cells go out and they gobble up a bacteria, a virus, a fungus, something that's going on in your body that's not healthy for you, and it gobbles it up, moves it out, gets it through your lymph system, and helps your body to get rid of it. So it rallies the troops, if you will, all right? And so being able to when your cortisol levels get up like that and the immune system's working harder, it's working all it can on a day-to-day basis to keep up with that. But when the cortisol levels go high and the stress is high and we're not taking care of ourselves like we need to because we're spreading ourselves too thin and doing too much, then the immune system says, "Uncle, I can't keep up." Now you're going to have something in order to do what? When you get a cold or a flu or something like that, what does it make you do? Exactly. It slows you down because you don't have a choice. You need to go to bed, eat your chicken soup or your vegetable broth or whatever, and be able to slow down. So your body is starting to talk to you. And what is it telling you to do? You need to take a breath, rest, and take care of you. But realize that the more you can take care of you before that happens, the better your chances are of going through something if you do get something, and of being able to be there to do the things that you need to do by being healthy and well. All right, so from a physical level, some of the things that the body really loves in order to keep the cortisol levels down, allow the immune system to flow and ebb so it's not overtaxed, is one, being able to breathe. And I talk about that from time to time, about just taking a few deep breaths. If you're out in the car and it seems like you're trying to get someplace and you're really trying to get there and you're trying to get all these things done, take a moment, and it doesn't take more than about 10 seconds. 10 seconds is worth so much to just stop, clear your mind, and breathe. And when you do, you lower your stress hormones in your body and you say, okay, all right, now let's go out for the next thing that we need to do, or whatever that next project happens to be. Doing that returns the nervous system from stress back to homeostasis or de-stress, which lowers that need for those cortisols in the immune response. Okay, so that's one. The second is you must dedicate yourself to a good bedtime routine. Make sure you go to bed, that you sleep well, you get a nice night of sleep, and you're able, when you get ready to go to sleep, put the things of the day and the day coming up in a journal so that it's there, it's ready for you when you wake up, but that you don't have to keep it in your mind while you're sleeping. Second to that, when you wake up, take a breath and say to yourself, I'm so grateful for today and everything that I'm going to be able to get done. Because today is a new day, and I have, here's the phrase, and it's a really good phrase to get used to. If you can embrace it, it works. I have more than enough time to get everything done that I need to do. Because when we're always feeling like we're rushing, we're never there on time, we're always watching the clock, it seems like the energy follows us that way. So you say to yourself, I have more than enough time to get everything done that I need to do. Take a breath and go forward with your daily tasks of children and meals and preparing and getting everything ready. We have trees to trim and houses to prepare if that's something that you do. Embrace that as a time to have fun, to rejoice with that with your family. So if it's a stress, find a way to make it not a stress, because that's not what this season is meant to be. This season talks about having peace on earth. Can you imagine if everybody was feeling peaceful inside? What in the world would this earth feel like if we had that? So we find that it's really a time that we have to consciously work on that peace inside and in our homes. Your children are like little barometers for your children, or your children are like little barometers for what's going on in the home. When you have, well, welcome Judith, when you have the ability with your children to also say to them, let's take a breath for a minute and let's take a moment to just be quiet before we get ready to do our next activity. You're teaching your children how to reset their neural system before they begin again with what they need to do. As you do that, It also will help them to be able to integrate that the holiday season can be something that does bring peace, that you can work with one another, and that you can help that immune system to be able to thrive a little better. All right, now, when you get ready to help build that immune system with things such as breath, taking a moment to meditate, getting a massage, getting into a warm bath, perhaps with Epsom salt in it at night, getting some chiropractic, using some Rescue Remedy. If you haven't heard of Rescue Remedy before, look it up. It's a Bach flower. It's called Rescue Remedy, and it often will help again with centering when you're having one of those crazy days. The other side of it is using a little bit of exercise. Now we have a lot of rain right now, so sometimes it makes it hard to get out, and you say, when in the world am I going to exercise, and why should I? I'm walking from place to place and I'm going here and there and everywhere. Well, that's true. Sometimes just doing a little bit of stretching and using that as exercise can really help be able to just soften the body again, bring the body back down out of the stress, find the peace in your mind and your heart before you begin a new day. Now, here are, for those of you that asked questions, I will get back to them as we get towards the end. So thanks for posting those questions. On a physical level, when you think about chemically, the chemicals in your body that help to de-stress love all those same things, from baths to massage to breathing to taking a moment to just quiet the mind, to putting all of your jobs in a journal so that when you wake up in the morning, you greet the day, you tell the day that you're going to have more than enough time to get things done, and then look at your job list and see what we call realistic at what you can expect. Those of you who have a small baby versus those of you who have a small baby and a toddler, or perhaps you have 2 or 3 children who are school age, each of you have that ability with what you can get done based on the ages of your children and how many you have. It needs to be what is realistic for you, because you cannot keep running, or what will happen? What does the immune system do when you're running too fast? Exactly. It will slow you down if you don't slow yourself down. Now, many of us see those signs and symptoms that something might be brewing. Listen to it. And when your body talks, say, I hear you, and I am listening, and I'm going to do what it takes to help make sure I get rest and to calm my system down. Now, very simple things that can help the immune system during the winter months, especially as we go to places that have a lot more people, such as our parties, perhaps malls and stores and things of that nature, because there's a lot more people and a lot more crowds, which means we share a lot more germs. It's a very simple thing. It's called wash your hands, right? So wash your hands frequently so that you keep those things off of your hands where people and kids have done snotty noses on every little thing that's been around. Wash your hands, keep those clean. I know it's simple, I know you do it, but it's still something to remind everybody about. Taking immune supports, and we're going to talk about immune supports in just a moment, to be able to help boost the body's immune system so that the body can work with you to help keep it running to its best while you are doing all the work that you so selflessly do during the holiday season. And you know, this is true for both parents of all genders, and whether they're working at home or whether they're working at a job outside the home. This is, you know, lifestyle 101, really, okay? But we have this in the wintertime, and especially around the holidays, we can get kind of crazy. All right, so emotionally, same thing. All of these work physically, chemically, emotionally in your body. They are like a triangle, and if one side falls down, the whole triangle is going to fall, which means that your emotions also get where you're frustrated at people, you get angry, you get upset, nothing's working, nobody's helping. And that's all part of bringing it back down and letting the triangle hold itself together again so that everything stays balanced. All right? So I'm telling you things that I know you all know, but it is to remind you how important it is to your immune system. All right, so your children come from school, they're working on the things that are at home, they feel those stresses, sometimes they get caught in the stresses if we're, if things aren't going right, and then what happens with these kids is that they then go, I can't win, I'm gonna have a bad day too. And they fall apart and they're all grumpy, and then you can't and they can't, and oh my goodness. Those are the days you just want to sit down and say, why am I doing everything I'm doing? And why are you doing it? Well, one, there's an expectation, but two, because you love all the people, and trying to figure out what to give everybody should be easy, but it's not always easy. So just be patient on that. So I say with your children, if you're starting to notice that they're starting to get a bit stressed, it's time to sit down, read them a story, sing them a song, or play with them. Sit down on the floor, and they may only be 6 months old, but they're constantly bugging you at, please hold me, hold me, hold me. They're constantly saying, nurse me, nurse me, nurse me. And what they're doing is they're saying, Mom, my parent, whoever you happen to be, sit down for a minute. You're way too stressed out for me. Sit down, mellow out, regroup, reboot, and let's try again. My mom has been in the computer world as long as I can remember. She worked at IBM many, many, many years ago when I was barely knee-high. And one of the things that I have had to learn from her when things are not going well with my technology is she would say to me, did you turn it off? And then turn it back on again. And I'd feel so silly that I hadn't tried that yet, right? Well, I know now, but it took me several times with various technologies to hear her say that to me. Did you turn it off? So it could reboot. We understand this in technology. We need to understand it in ourselves, that sometimes we need to stop. We need to stop what we're doing, and we need to let our body, our minds, our emotions reboot. And so do children. And in order to reboot, sometimes they need a quiet time. They need time with you, or they need some activity that mellows them down so that they can reboot. Okay? All right. Now, when it comes to food, because holidays from Thanksgiving through New Year's for sure is all about food, it seems like. We're either preparing it or eating it. And when we prepare it, it's for hours, and then you eat it for 20 minutes, and then you have leftovers for days, right? Well, it's usually a good amount of carbohydrates, which is all fine and good, and a good degree of proteins for most people. But what is the biggest thing that we find? Yes, it's all the sweets, the cookies, the cakes, the pies, and even some of the vegetables are super sweet with all the various things that we put in and on them. Well, sweets are delicious, but they need moderation. And if we eat too many of them, because they are so abundant during this holiday season, the immune system has to work even harder. So you can see kind of where I'm going with this, which is keep a mindset of sweets, that when you want to have sweets, sit down and be grateful for them. Be thankful for all the people that it took to bring those sweets to you. All the people in the fields that grew the pumpkins and the sugar and the cream and the things that went into the pie crust. And you're so grateful that you get an opportunity to have this pumpkin pie, if it's pumpkin pie you like, or whatever it happens to be. Because sometimes if you slow down long enough and you really relish it in your mouth, you're going to find you're going to be much more satisfied than having to eat so many different sweets that are offered. Okay, it's just an idea. But do be aware that the more sweets that children eat, the more their blood sugar goes up and down, which means their disposition and their emotions do that. The excitements of the holidays and what gifts and all the new gifts and all the places that they're coming and going, and their immune system gets stressed in a different way than yours. And what happens? They get sick. So let's keep all of us as well and healthy as we can. 1, quiet the mind down, take a breath, know that you'll have more than enough time to accomplish everything you need to do. Take time with your children when they need to reboot, because chances are they're telling you that you need to reboot and to calm down and try again. Or maybe it is just them. So what can you use on a physical level to help boost your immune system so that maybe it can handle some of the extra stress that comes from either foods that we eat or the things that we need to do? My favorite is elderberry. Some of you may know elderberry. Some of you may have never been exposed to it before. But elderberry is an amazing, wonderful little berry that has to be cooked well and turned into a syrup or some other type. Now, you can buy elderberry in all these different forms from every health food store, almost any online site, as well as many grocery stores now also carry it. Sambucol happens to be one brand name of elderberry. The one thing that I do find for those of you who have maybe more than a couple children is that it can be quite costly to give your children some elderberry from, say, the beginning of October once a day to help their immune systems all the way through till almost March, or at least till the holidays are over. So that's wonderful, but you can also make your own elderberry, and there are recipes out there that usually consist of boiling the elderberries, and you can buy them by a pound, and you add honey to it and cinnamon and sometimes a few other things depending on the recipe that you like. And you can usually make about 48 ounces or more, which for a very low cost. And the kids love it, and you can find that everybody can have like Mary Poppins, just a spoonful of sugar. Well, it's not sugar, but it's elderberry with honey a day to help keep their immune systems running well. They come in gummies and chewies and lozenges and all these kinds of things. I have a tendency to think that if a lot of processing has happened to them, although they're good, they may not be nearly as potent as using some that are fresh. Rather, it's in an extract, like it's been in alcohol, or it's in the honey or the syrups. Being aware that when you buy syrups, you cannot give those to children who are under age 2. Some say under age 1, but definitely not to infants. Infants should not be taking honey. Anything that has a non-cooked honey, like if you had honey graham crackers, that's fine, that's been cooked, but something that hasn't been cooked necessarily. So you would want, if you had a young child that was under a year especially, and you wanted to give them elderberry, you need to give them something that does not have honey in it. We have a wonderful mixture that we like to make up for the young children and even the infants, and that consists of elderberry, rather that's syrup if they're old enough, or rather that's, right on. I love making it too. Actually, Marlene makes it. I don't make it. She's the cook. Rather you make it with an extract for the young children, or rather you make it with syrup for the older children, and adding cranberry to it. You can take cranberry capsules and break them open, let them dissolve into there, adding a little bit of colloidal silver, which is another kind of antibiotic from the nature world that works very well. If there are coughs going on, we like lobelia tincture. Lobelia tincture. And lobelia is a wise herb. It has to be used with wisdom in small quantities. So we usually we have parents mix up a mixture for the babies that are under the honey age with elderberry extract, 2 ounces of water, and 2 dropperfuls of elderberry extract, with 2 capsules of cranberry dissolved in it, with a teaspoon of colloidal silver and a dropper full of lobelia tincture, and they get a quarter to a half a teaspoon every 3 hours. That has been our little mixture, if you will, and variations on that based on age or what things might be going on. So I do love that little mixture. Another is echinacea, and most people know about echinacea. Echinacea is a wonderful thing that actually stimulates the white blood cells in your body to want to rally the troops so that they can gobble up all of the bacteria or viruses or funguses that happen to be causing you to not feel well. So using echinacea is wonderful. Golden seal is more prominent for bacterial infections. So if you feel like something has done that, you can use golden seal. We like homeopathics. There's a wonderful homeopathic that's at every health food store. Many grocery stores have it. Costco usually carries it in the wintertime. It's called Osasilicum. That's a great one. Now I'll tell you a little secret of what I do coming from a homeopathic level. And when I use these homeopathics, because it comes in a little vial and they say take the whole vial, it can be quite costly when you do that. So I have a tendency to shake some in my mouth about every 10 to 15 minutes for an hour, and then every hour for 4 hours, and then spread it out. But I use small little bits, okay? For babies or children, I tell them mix it in some water and give them little bits, like a quarter teaspoon of it. If you were to mix it in, say, an ounce of water, giving them a quarter teaspoon of that every 15 minutes, and then once an hour. My favorite one is called Vibrucol, and I went online. Oh, here's some of you may see this backwards because of the way the cameras work, but Osasilicum, I know you've seen it at the store. That's the one I was just talking about. That one, and there are many, many other combination homeopathics that just read the labels, see what the symptoms say, but you need to take them frequently at first, spreading it out a little more, and then spreading it out afterwards, because the body needs to get the message frequently enough to help rebalance it. All right, my other one that I absolutely love for young children and infants is called Vibrucol. Now, like I said, yours might be backwards, so you'll have to look at it and read it backwards. Vibrucol. Vibrucol is a homeopathic combination. Again, it comes in little vials. These little vials are actually in liquid this time, and they tell you to give a whole vial. I have them put it in an ounce of water, and I have them give them a quarter teaspoon frequently every 5 to 15 minutes for an hour, once an hour for 4 hours, and then every 2 to 4 hours as needed. And Vibrucol seems to, again, really home in on helping to balance the body when there's an illness that comes up, and it's especially good at helping with fevers. You usually can't find it at the health food stores unless your health food store happens to be one that carries it. If they do, fantastic. If not, it's on Amazon. Okay? Amazon carries everything. Someday maybe we'll have something more than Amazon. I don't know, but Amazon is the storehouse for sure. And thank goodness they carry everything. It's a one-stop shop, and there are many more. All right, so Vibrucol. Let me see what else. Whoops, sorry. Get my list here. Oh, lovely vitamin C. Vitamin C is just good all the way around, right? And 500 to 1,000 milligrams on a daily basis is really good. You can give it to young children. Infants, best to get it through milk. If you need to give it to them as they get maybe over 6 months or so, you can give a little sprinkle in some little water that they can take. Remember that if you're nursing and you take herbs and homeopathy, your baby's going to, chances are, get the herbs through your milk. Homeopathy, very good question on that one. I think it's really helpful to give a baby homeopathy directly, and it's so very safe to do that. Okay? Let's see. What's our other thing? What did I get? Oh, using essential oils. Now, again, I've mentioned to you, I'm not well versed on all the different oils. We do use Thieves or Fighting Five, I think it's called now. I personally do not like the word fighting anything because I don't want to fight. I want to feel and say to my body, you are gaining health, you are feeling better, your lungs are clearing, your immune system is strong. I want to hit my body, and I want to say that to you, to yourselves, and encourage you to say that to your children. When they sometimes come down with things and they're not feeling well, say, you know, sometimes our body has to work hard to make us strong, but you're getting stronger every single day. You're getting stronger, and your immune system is working perfectly. These are wonderful things to tell our children, because then it helps them to say to their body, oh, body, I hear you, but you're getting better. We're going to be okay. We're going to do better every single day. So encouraging your children, encouraging yourself, and listening to your body and saying, I hear you, I will rest, I will nurture you, and you are healing quickly, because your body will listen to you. Your body will hear you. And if you talk and talk and talk and talk about being sick, it'll just keep validating for you that you better keep having a story to talk about. So do your best to say, today my immune system is exercising itself, and it's getting stronger every day. All right, let's see, what else is on my list? So using a diffuser, if you put hydrogen peroxide in your diffuser with a little bit of water and your essential oils, the hydrogen peroxide also is super helpful for your environment to kind of gobble up some of those bacteria and things that are there. The other thing that's been used for centuries is taking a good old-fashioned onion. And most of you all have onions in your homes. And taking an onion, kind of cutting it up, either sitting it on the counter or chopping it up, putting it in a pan and turning it on, bringing it to a boil, turning it down to a simmer and letting it simmer. Makes the house smell great because it smells like you're cooking something good. But it is a real good antifungal, just cleanser of the air. So that one's a good one to use also. Some people say if you put a sliced onion next to your bedside, that by morning that onion will be quite dark because it pulls a lot of the impurities out of the air. Which, if we go to onion, we have to go to garlic. So garlic is also an antibacterial in our bodies. So taking garlic can be helpful. Chopping up and cooking with garlic is helpful. Using a garlic oil rub on chests for children is wonderful, behind their ears. We have also taken a garlic clove and just shaved off the outside, and you want one big enough that fits like a hearing aid in the outside of the ear, not in the canal, but just sitting in the outside of the ear. Sometimes you have to put a piece of tape over it. That'll pull and seems to really help with those ear infections that kids get as well. And so, you know, that one's helpful. There are, like I said, lots and lots of homeopathic combinations on the market. You just have to see which ones meet you. There's Cold Calm, there's the Oxysilicum. Oh gosh, there's so many. So when you go to the health food store, sometimes that's helpful than trying to pick out individual remedies. One remedy that works great for kids is Pulsatilla, P-U-L, Pulsatilla. And that one's usually for runny, snotty noses with whiny kids, which is usually the thing that comes along. And telling them your immune system is strong and it's getting stronger every day and it's just exercising and you're getting better. But let's help you rest. And so that's what your children need. All right. So on a spiritual level, as I said, being able to be grateful for all that you get to do, all the presents that you have, that you're wrapping, you're giving, and you're getting, but you're giving to all of your family, is just to really be able to give the most important gift, and that is to be able to be calm, to be happy, and to enjoy this season in the midst of all that it asks of everybody. But remember that if we had peace on earth, it would start from within us. So start learning how to create peace within yourself by taking a breath and just letting things be. All right, so now I'm going to go back through and look at those wonderful questions you have for me, and let's see what we can do. All righty. Oh, look at all of you tonight. Aren't you all amazing and wonderful? And you should all be saying, yes, we are. All right, drinking my herbal teas right now that you recommended to Erin to get pregnant. Oh, good for you. Oh, well, we had one mom that swore that 1 cup of tea gave her a set of twins, which is impossible, but she always had a cute way of talking about them. All right. Yes, so one of you asked about saving this. This is on my Facebook. Let me tell you again, all right? Those of you that are on Facebook, this is saved on there. Those of you who are on Instagram, if you want to go back and watch this because you didn't have a chance to, or you want to share it with someone, simply go to Facebook, Natural Childbirth 101. All of my lives are saved on there. And as I said, I try my best each week. It takes me a little bit of time to get these uploaded to my YouTube channel, which is Natural Child Birth, 2 separate words, on YouTube 101, okay? All right, let's see. I know I had a few more questions there, and if you have a question or two, please start doing that. Good. Oh, yes. All right. I don't see any questions currently. What time are we at? All right. So if you want to send me a question or two, I am happy to answer some of those. I'll yak for just a minute. Yes, I am. If all of you who have been on is essentially Erin, and you've come to listen, I'm so grateful to her. She's such an amazing mom and shares so much with you, and I just enjoy her so tremendously. So if you haven't been over to her site, please check it out. All right, let's see. I don't want to be induced, but my midwife wants to. If I am late, what would you recommend? All right. So if you're going overdue, which by technicality is really past 42 weeks, but in our society, it means that you're coming up to 42 weeks. All right. And what I would do if we had clients in our practice and I knew their health history and I knew their pregnancy so I could make those recommendations, I would put them on, black cohosh. Yeah, you got it. Hey, right on. Black cohosh tincture. It would be a dropper full 4 to 6 times a day if we were like at 38 to 39 weeks. If we're at 40 weeks and we're working up to 41 weeks, it's about 6 times a day. If we're at 41 weeks, it's definitely 6 times a day, and moving up to even a little bit more if we're getting close to wanting to do a home induction. The other thing is Birthies, and I mentioned that before. That's a combination homeopathic remedy that's by BioKing or King Bio, and it's a wonderful homeopathic spray that works really well, making sure that you're on evening primrose oil, 1,300 milligrams orally. And as long as your waters are intact and there's no other reasons that you can't, it would be also putting some evening primrose up on your cervix. And the other thing is coming from inside and saying, my body works perfectly, my body is opening, and I'm welcoming my body to start ripening and being in labor and being able to get there. If we get up close to that 42-week mark, we've already been making a plan that says, all right, let's keep you on the herbs. We add more herbs such as blue cohosh the day before we're going to do castor oil. And we start some blue and black, half a dropper full each, starting at 10 in the morning, going until bedtime if labor doesn't do something before. And we do it every 30 minutes. Once bedtime comes around, we stop the herbs the next morning. We start the herbs and the spray again with the understanding that we're going to do 4 ounces of castor oil about 1 to 3 in the afternoon. And as soon as that comes through and things start to get going, we go to our family's house and we make sure that we can keep that labor going. Because if we're going to do that and we're going to do castor oil, we do what's called do or do not, there is no try. It's Yoda's motto, right? From Star Wars, I know. I started out with Star Wars as a teen, okay? But it's do or do not. There is no try. We're not going to just, well, let's try and take some castor oil and see if it works. We're going to get the baby here. And if that means doing some cervical stems because we're almost at 42 weeks, we're going to do cervical stems where we might let water go if you're 6 to 7 centimeters. The goal is for us, if that's what the family wants, to get the baby here so that we don't have to transfer them out of care just for dates. And they can, once things get moving, they can have the baby at home, stay home, and be able to enjoy that. But that's with clients that I know. So I don't know what your situations are, and that's what we would do, okay? All right. I see all these lovely questions coming in. Let's see, where are we at? Thank you for doing these, especially since I don't have Facebook. Oh, you're so welcome. But YouTube is another place that I try and save them if you need to go back. All right, any specific recommendations for immune boosting against stomach viruses? Oh, thank you for asking that. We've had quite a range of them recently. Yes, probiotics. Being on probiotics is another prophylactic, meaning preparative thing to making sure that you can boost as much of your gut health to keep good bacteria going on in there and keep the bad guys from finding their way through you. Now, when there's stress and we tend to make food choices and lots of sweets, our gut has the potential of creating fermentation. And that fermentation means that there is some bacteria in there that could have the potential of growing. So taking probiotics every day, and when you hear people that might be having stomach viruses, it's 4 times a day, because probiotics are only working as they're going through. So you want to make sure that they go through frequently enough to keep that repopulation happening. Now, one that I've kind of liked lately, which is good for the group beta strep, is that Femdophilus. But if you're not pregnant, and that's not necessarily the thing that you need to work with, the Solar Ray Multidophilus is one that I like, and you can get them from the health food store. It's a non-dairy for those of you that have dairy issues, and I don't think it's gluten, but you'd have to check on that one if you have gluten issues. I'm not sure what the carrier is. It could be cornstarch. So being able to get that probiotics, and that means that, again, it might be kombucha if you're one that can tolerate kombucha. It's your yogurts. It's your fermented types of foods. And again, watching how much of the sugars that you put in you because of the fermentation. Okay, so probiotics, definitely a good thing to do. All right, let's see. And if you get the stomach bug, probiotics, right? Probiotics going down is your best chance of helping to get that through. The other thing that sometimes can help is some activated charcoal. Taking some activated charcoal, whether it's tablets or a little bit of powder, helps to kind of, pull those things out and try and get them to run through, literally, a bit faster, all right? All right, let's see. What are your thoughts on antibiotics during pregnancy? I have TB, so my midwives might recommend that, but I am not thrilled. All right, first, I've not dealt with a pregnant person who's had TB, but I would suggest, because of that, one, I don't have a lot of knowledge on what your alternatives would be next to having antibiotics. Now, antibiotics is always something that we would rather not have for many reasons of the microbiome in the baby, our gut health, all of those types of things, including thrush on babies and yeast infections and etc. That being said, if during a pregnancy antibiotics could be taken and there was time before the delivery and lots of good probiotics could be taken after, before the baby's born, my hope is that your body can help itself recolonize to be able to give as much microbiomes to the baby when it's born, and then give the baby a little bit of probiotics as well as the mom, and make sure good breastfeeding goes on. So if that needs to happen, it's saying the benefit may outweigh the risk at this point, right? And we have to be able to look at things sometimes and say, all right, if that needs to happen, what can we do to help make sure that we boost that immune system? Now, Evivo is a probiotic that's newer on the market. It is one that is specifically targeted for newborn babies to help repopulate their gut. If that's something you can do and afford, that's an option. The Bifidus infantis is also in the Solaray Multidophilus that I just mentioned. The one that's in Evivo was grown on breast milk, so it's the only one that's grown from that particular, coming from the source that should be giving it to the babies. So there's a difference with it, and you can look it up, okay? But that's where I say to you, it may be that benefit outweighs the risk. I personally have not had a client with TB, so I have not researched what alternatives that I as a midwife might feel comfortable with. All right. Let's see. Does labor usually go smoother when a doula is present? Everything that statistic has shown says yes. They have shown that when there is a support person, especially someone who is not your significant other, who is there that has the knowledge and the wisdom about birth and labor, that a birth giver can feel more like they are being supported, and that there is somebody that can encourage them with advocating if they need it, in especially a hospital setting. Because the doula themselves cannot say to the staff, this is what you want, this is what you want, this is what you want. Although they can mention things, the staff wants you. They want to know from you. But a doula can sometimes say, do you understand the intervention that they want to give you, and why? And what that does is it opens up a field for you to say, no, I don't, which says the care provider then needs to explain it to you. And the other part of a doula in being able to support with birth is also reminding you, because they know you can do this, that you can do it, and making suggestions, because our significant others want to be there to hold, to protect, and to sometimes rescue. Even though it might not be in their mindset, sometimes that rescue syndrome comes in. And I always let partners know that they might feel that, because they don't want to see their partner working so good and strong and hard, and being in their power might feel a little vulnerable to the other partner. But they need to get in there and say, I believe in you. I know you can do this. Keep going. You can do this. So I've found that there are different roles in your partner. They need to love and know that they can dance with you. And your doula, if you're going in a hospital setting, especially, sometimes in a birth center, occasionally at home, are there to understand where the back needs to be rubbed, how to tell you, you have a choice and an option of this technology they want to use. Here's the choices and the options. Here's what you might ask them. In being able to encourage you to be able to advocate for yourself. And it really statistically has shown that if a doula is at a birth, statistically things go better. Less medication, less surgeries, and less interventions. So I would say yes. I know that in our own practice, we have not had very many doulas attend births with our families, because we tend to do that job, right? But once in a while, somebody has a doula that they've connected with prior that they want there, and we're like, great, be there. And many doulas find in a home setting that they're like, I'm not quite sure what to do. She or they are doing so well, they don't really need a lot of support this time. And part of that is that the setting that is outside of your normal place, such as in a hospital, sometimes a birth center, just needs a little holding space for you to be in your bubble and keep doing what you're doing and reminding you that you are the birth giver and the owner of birth, and that you can keep going forward and not to really come out of that bubble into whatever's going on in the environment. So that's my 2 cents worth on doulas. All right, is arnica a good pain reliever for after delivery and safe for breastfeeding? Number one, yes, it's safe for breastfeeding. Yes, I think arnica is a great thing to take for you after birth. I think it helps relieve some of those aches and pains and bruisings and soreness. You can get it at the health food store both in a 30C and a 200C, which is the potency, and 200 would be probably the more appropriate for just after delivery, but 30C is fine too. And I would take 30. I would take 3 pellets after delivery, maybe once an hour for a couple of hours, and then every few hours, and then maybe a couple times a day up to 3 to 7 days. When milk comes in, that might help as well, just because there's a lot of swelling. And if you've had stitches or your bottom's particularly sore, yes, it's good for that. If your tailbone is sore, even the creams are good. I've given arnica directly to newborns before because maybe they've had a bruise on their head, or they've maybe just had a longer labor, a longer pushing stage. We've used arnica cream or Trameal cream, which is a homeopathic combination, which I like. It's called Trameal, Traumeal. And but I've had them dissolve them in water and give the baby little drops of that to help with them having to deal with maybe some bruising. So arnica is lovely, wonderful. All right, let's see what Morgan's got to say. Do homeopathic remedies stimulate the immune system? We deal with some autoimmune things. My understanding and my education when I went through school with homeopathy is that no, it is not going to be an immune response, much like maybe echinacea might. Echinacea will stimulate the immune response on an herbal level. Homeopathics, remember, are like a message. It's a message that goes into the body that says, body, and we've got about 2 minutes left. Homeopathics help to balance the body where it's imbalanced. So they work on a very different level that is like an energetic medicine. It's the only way that some people can understand, but it goes in the body. The body is being told, you have swelling, so you need to stop swelling. And so it won't trigger an autoimmune response, my understanding. Nothing in my education has ever taught me that. All right, let's see if we can get it. And electrolytes save me. Yes, electrolytes for stomach bugs, coconut water, nettle tea, any of these kinds of things. Is there somewhere I can restart this video? This is a topic that interests me, my OB chronically. Yes, you can go on my Facebook page here in about 15 minutes, and you can watch it again, or you can go to YouTube, but it'll take me a little while before I get it on YouTube. Have you written any books yet? No, but I know it's coming someday. All of this has got to be put in a book, but somebody else has to help me write it because I'm a better speaker than I am a writer. Can you take charcoal when pregnant and nursing? Yes. Arnica 200C after birth? Yes. Phytolacta for milk coming in, getting clogged ducts. Homeopathy is great. Excellent reminder. Do you see a difference in women taking their placenta pills versus not? I do. They seem to balance their emotions. They seem to have a good milk supply. They seem to ride through that sort of hormonal first 6 weeks of life in a much better way. Okay, last question, and then my clock is running out. Be saved and okay. Yes, right. It'll be on Instagram for 24 hours, and then if you need it more, it'll be on the Facebook page. And like I said, I'll have it uploaded into YouTube sometime tonight. I am so grateful for all of you And can I help you write the book? Oh, I would love that. Well, this year I'm getting the series out. That's my determination. We're finishing the editing on it so that I can have a full pregnancy, birth, postpartum, partners, breastfeeding, VBAC, and we're getting to the final cut and paste of it all, and hopefully by February-ish, hopefully we'll get it to market, and you will be the first to hear about that for sure, and start marketing it so people have that. And then I can embark on a new project, which is taking this and seeing about a book. You are so welcome for your wisdom. So I want to thank all of you for coming tonight. You are such a delight.